We see what I would call a global censorship playbook being rolled out on pretty much every continent. When you see it, you see that almost everyone in power is using the same language, arguing and attempting the same thing. So I'm going to give 3 quick examples. I've already mentioned Brazil and Alexander de Moraes, the Brazilian Supreme Court judge. So he explained the need to ban, quote, the use of social networks by extremist digital populists with the massive dissemination of hate speech and anti-democratic messages and the use of disinformation to erode the pillars of democracy and the rule of law. So here's a Supreme Court judge in Brazil shutting down an entire social media platform alone. Ursula von der Leyen gave her keynote speech at the World Economic Forum earlier this year, and she said, let me go back to the #1 concern of the Global Risk Report, disinformation and misinformation. Tackling this ban has been our focus since the very beginning of my mandate. With our Digital Services Act, we defined the responsibilities of large internet platforms on the content they promote and propagate. A responsibility to children and vulnerable groups targeted by hate speech, but also a responsibility to our societies as a whole. So you have Brazil, you have Europe, you have the US, Kamala Harris, the obviously US presidential candidate, and she explained her plan if she was elected by saying, we will direct law enforcement to counter this extremism. We'll hold social media platforms accountable for the hate infiltrating their platforms because they have a responsibility to respond to this threat to our democracy. And if you profit off of hate, if you act as a megaphone for misinformation or cyber warfare, if you don't police your platforms, we're going to hold you accountable. So 3 extremely powerful people on 3 different continents in the same year, essentially saying the same thing.